I've wanted to illustrate a set of oracle cards for quite a while now, but I've always struggled to get started. There's so many to create, and I often feel like I'm not ready, like my art isn't good enough to belong in a full set. But the truth is, if I waited till I felt ready, I'd never begin. As artists, we're constantly improving, getting caught in a cycle of self-doubt. Realizing this, I knew that waiting for the right moment would only hold me back, so instead I decided to start now. I'm planning to document my learning and growth on this channel as I move forward with this project, sharing both the wins and losses along the way. I wanted to walk you through the entire process of illustrating 44 oracle cards. So if this is something you're interested in, you can find inspiration to create your own. Maybe your project looks a little different. Maybe you just need the extra push to get started. And that's great too. The goal here is to help you actually start. I'm still planning to create educational content on this channel with more tutorials on the way, but I wanted to share this project I'm working on as a way to support and connect with other artists. I'm still learning every day. I even work with an art mentor as part of my process. I definitely don't know everything, and there's still so much more room for growth. That's part of why I wanted to share this journey. These videos will not only document this growth for you, but also serve as a snapshot for me. It will become something that I can look back on as I continue to develop as an artist. For this first video, I wanted to talk about the hurdles that have gotten in the way of starting this project. While I talk about this, I'll be illustrating my very first card. I'll also talk about why I'm doing this project now, and why you should start that big art project that you've been putting off too. So, let's get started. The first hurdle in any project is actually getting started. In addition to the various studio works that I frequently create, I have a number of other projects that I've yet to reveal. These are ideas that I've had for a long time but have never actually committed any time to. Like with this project, I've never really committed to getting started. I've always felt hung up on a number of things, most often feeling not ready. Every artist's journey looks unique, but for the most part, as long as you're trying and actually creating, you will always be improving. There are the inevitable peaks and valleys in this growth, but the overall trend will always be upward. The hard part is that often artists will spend a lot of time in the learning phase of their journey and never actually expand beyond that. I've seen many artists in my time as an educator who believe that they aren't ready to create their own works, feeling like they need to practice more before they get there. There isn't anything wrong with wanting to practice more, it's just the mindset of thinking that you aren't ready till you've reached a certain point. But I ask, what is this point? Often artists will say when I'm better at portrait drawing or color mixing, without realizing that there's no ceiling to their art journey. That they might be better at color mixing or portrait drawing and still see a road ahead for improvement. You might already be where you want to be, but because of how limitless your learning in art can be, they feel stuck believing that they aren't ready yet. The truth is, your growth is in a constant upward motion as long as you're trying in some capacity. But there's no plateaus where you realize you're ready. There are no levels like a staircase where you'll realize that you're good enough to start. That being said, you still need to work and practice to move in that direction. You can't just begin your art journey without needing to practice or learn. What I'm saying is that at some point in your journey, you have to stop and realize that you have the potential to create and shouldn't let the limitless scale of your art journey deter you from getting started. It's important to remember that just because you're working on a bigger project, and this can be a larger original piece or maybe cards like I'm making here, this doesn't mean that you aren't learning. Just because you aren't doing quick gesture drawings or form rotations doesn't mean that you aren't learning. You're merely applying your learning and problem solving using everything you've picked up so far, while also trying to work through new challenges in unique ways. As much as this is advice for other artists, this is also advice for myself. I've also been caught in this trap for many years now, but I've only finally begun to realize how it's been holding me back from creating the things I've wanted to create. For a while, I've been hung up on studying and never gotten around to creating what I wanted to make. I was doing gesture drawings and master copies, but was never truly happy with the work because it wasn't my own unique voice, it was a copy of other artworks. That stage was valuable, and it got me to where I wanted to be, but it wasn't as fulfilling as it could have been. I could have been honing in on my own style and starting on the dozens of projects I had been dreaming about since I was a kid. But instead I was waiting for the point in my journey which I felt ready. Only recently have I started to realize that would never come. Even now I'm struggling to start projects, feeling the self-doubt, feeling like I'm not ready to get started. I also know that since I'm constantly improving, I will naturally get better over time. For this project, I've been caught up in imagining what my potential might look like in the future, and how good these cards might look like if I practiced longer or got better. Sure, I might be a better artist in the future, but why should that stop me from making art now? Again, I ask myself, at what point in the future will I consider myself a better artist and worthy of starting? Imagine I gave myself another year, or maybe 5 years before I felt ready. When that time comes around, would I feel ready, or would I still feel like there was potential if I waited another year or more? At that point, I'd be waiting my entire life, never feeling adequate enough to start. At a core, this is usually about self-doubt. That feeling of not being good enough to start. It's often less about actual skill level and more about the mental block you have around your own worth. For me, I'm constantly struggling with self-doubt and imposter syndrome, feeling like I'm not good enough or that my achievements are a result of a fluke or a mistake. The hardest part is getting past those mental blocks, reminding myself that I am good enough and worthy of creating. It's not easy, and it's something I struggle with constantly. What helps is small intentional reminders. Things like setting up a space where you can see your favorite pieces or keep gallery tags from past shows nearby. These are just little cues that can help me see what I've accomplished. I call this my imposter syndrome wall, and I keep it in a place where I see it regularly. I admit I don't look at this as much as I should, but I at least have a space that I can look at to remind myself of my worth when self-doubt creeps in. I've also heard of people making a binder or portfolio with physical reminders of their achievement. Again, this can be artworks or receipts of commissions or sales, anything that reminds you of your success. If you're still early in your art journey, this could be a collection of your favorite drawings you've made or things that help motivate you. Fear of failure is another thing that can hold an artist back. For a long time, it's held me back too. It's one of the main reasons I didn't start this project sooner. I was worried about it flopping, or maybe that I wouldn't be able to finish. I'm still working through this fear. Starting new projects can feel overwhelming when failure feels like a real possibility. But I've had to remind myself that failure is part of the process. I can't learn without failing. Growth comes from working through challenges. There has to be something to move past in order to move forward. One of the ongoing struggles of an artist is never really feeling fully satisfied with your work. While others might see a finished, beautiful piece, you're focused on the one brushstroke or color that feels off. Because of this, it's important to accept that you might rarely feel satisfied with your work, and that's okay. There will always be something you'd want to improve, but that's also what makes each piece valuable. It's an opportunity to grow. So if every piece is part of that process, why be afraid of failure? I ask myself, if every piece of art I make has something that can be improved, why do I continue to paint? I continue because I care about the process and the result. I care about learning and growing and having a creative outlet. So if I care so much about being a better artist, why am I so hung up on being afraid of failure when it's an essential part of the learning process? I'm mostly afraid because my self-worth is tied to the success of my art. If my art succeeds, that means that I have succeeded. If my art fails, that means that I have failed. And I think that many artists feel the same. This is incredibly unhealthy given how important failure is to growth. It might have a lot to do with how we were raised or schooled, but what is important is to grow past this, to find your own internal worth, and find ways to appreciate yourself. A challenging feat, I know. It's still something that I'm learning to break free from and will probably never fully, but it's a big reason why I'm starting this process now. I'm starting this project to break free from this fear, to break free from the worries of not feeling ready and just start. I want to fail and grow and document this learning out in the open so that others can be inspired to challenge themselves to tackle those fears too. So for this series, I'm hoping to talk about all the wins and losses and help others become motivated to start their own personal projects. If you're looking to grow and learn alongside other artists, feel free to join the Discord, share your creations, and help me build a community around artists working to grow past their fears and just start. Remember that you can't wait till you feel ready. The time to start is now. Don't be afraid of failure, it's part of the process. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.